I really do have a hard time going back to that place that I was in when I joined LuLaRoe and where I thought I was going with it. It almost felt like I had won the lottery in a way. In the end, I was terminated. Really curious to see how much longer they're even going to last. Hello, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Sam. If you are not new here, thank you for coming back. I appreciate you. I am hanging out in my bedroom today because it is so nice and quiet up here, and we need that. So this video is long overdue. I've been wanting to do it, but I also have been hesitant because I think I have some PTSD going on from this MLM experience with LuLaRoe. It was a very short experience, but it was an experience. I'm going to share with you everything that I can remember. I did some digging in my old emails and some old Facebook groups and things like that to kind of bring the memories back. And I know it sounds so dumb to some people, but I really do have a hard time going back to that place that I was in when I joined LuLaRoe and where I thought I was going with it. And it's hard for me to reprocess all of that again. This is probably the hardest MLM experience I've had. If you have watched my previous videos, you'll know that I was with Scentsy and Velato, which was Scentsy's sister company, which is no longer in business. And I was also in Beachbody. I don't have a video on that yet, but it is coming. Those were not as emotionally draining as this whole experience was, because it just even when I thought it was over, there were still things that were oh, I didn't know that was coming. Things that kept hitting, which we'll get into in this video. When I was doing my digging for this video and kind of just drudging up the past, I went into my old email that I specifically had for LuLaRoe and I did some digging. It just made me realize it was so bad that I had abandoned that email. I didn't go into that. That was the first time I was in that email since 2017 when I decided to leave. So there was a lot of crap to dig through in there. I also had a YouTube channel. I think there was only 2 or 3 videos on there that I did. And I had almost immediately, when I decided to go out of business, deleted those videos, which I was kind of upset about because I know that they were really cringy, but I have no way of getting those back. There was one video that I told my story and gave a 2-month update, and I was sobbing because I was making so much money, but on paper I was making money. But as we know, with past MLM experiences of our own and things that you hear from other people, I was not making that much money. I was essentially trying to take advantage of other people the same way I was taken advantage of and play on what a life change that amount of money was going to be for me. It almost felt like I had won the lottery in a way. But it was because of the amount of money that I spent and I put into the LuLaRoe business, which really it's not your business, because in the end I was terminated, and we're going to get to that. It was because of something that I posted. And if it's your business, then you're not going to get terminated from your own business for something that you post on social media. So it's just not your business. I don't know if they still have a queue, but when I signed up, I was put in the queue for about 2 months. This was at the very end. I want to say it was New Year's Eve of 2016 that I signed up and got in the queue. And I was in the queue until February 15th of 2017. At that point, you were instructed to save all of the home office numbers in your phone as LuLaRoe or whatever, so that you knew when they were calling and you had to take that call. And at that time, I was working full time as a medical assistant, taking care of patients in a doctor's office. And so I would just hope and pray that my call wasn't going to come when a patient was in the room, because supposedly if they called you and you missed it, there was no number to call back. You had to wait for them to call you back. So I was terrified that that was going to happen to me. It ended up that the day that they called, we had no patients that day. So I was able to take the call while I was working. I went in the break room and hid and really quietly talked to the woman on the other end and chose my onboarding package, which they didn't even include leggings. When LuLaRoe first started, if you're not very familiar with it, they were mainly known for their leggings. So it was a way for them to get you to spend more money. So you get all of these clothes and nobody wants those. They want the leggings. So I ended up spending $4,925.75 to onboard and get my package. And that was the lowest package I could get. And I split it between 2 credit cards and a debit card. At that time, my husband and I were not in the best of places. We had just made a move in 2014 from Connecticut to Colorado. Our financial situation was not good. We were living with my parents in their basement, and I saw this as an opportunity to make a ton of money fast and get out and get our house. That didn't happen. We actually just recently purchased our house. At the time of this recording, it is July of 2022, and we've been in our house for only a year. And it was after I had all of these MLM experiences and I had to clean up all of those messes before we were even able to think about buying a house. So anyway, I onboarded, and I actually have, so this is the notebook that I used for all of my MLMs. And I came up with a business plan because I was trying to get my parents to give me money to help me invest in this business. I mean, come on. So my mission statement, I clearly didn't know what a mission statement was. Financial freedom, pay off debt, do something I feel 100% passionate about, and freedom to be able to be a stay-at-home mom with my child. At that time, I only had 1 son. Now we have 2 in our own home. First of all, that's not even a mission statement. I own my own business now, like a legitimate business, and I have a mission statement. It has nothing to do with me. That's what I presented to my parents in their living room when I brought this to their attention. Needless to say, they did not invest in this idea. They were not on board. The description of the business.
Every woman wants to feel beautiful. Feeling beautiful in your own skin is difficult. Our society is bombarded with what is the perfect body or style. How many retailers do you see that want to make every woman feel comfortable and beauty within herself? Not many. With LuLaRoe, they strive to give customers a comfortable and beautiful image. The fabrics, styles, and designs fit everyone. Simple designs for every figure at an amazing price point. All LuLaRoe consultants carry a wide variety of different items. That gives all of them the ability to be successful.
Not so much. Not so much. If only I knew what was coming. By the way, if you have seen the documentary LuLaRich, first of all, if you haven't seen it, go watch it because it is very, very, very true. Like there's no lies in that documentary. And when I joined was right when everything started to hit the fan. There was not much ability to be successful as a retailer with LuLaRoe. Oh my God. This is a problem. Location, in-home, Facebook, work from anywhere I'm able. Where am I able to work? I did maybe 5 or 6 in-person pop-ups. In the amount of time it took me to pack up all of my crap, the racks, the clothes that were on hangers, the baskets of leggings. Mind you, we lived in the basement. So to get outside, I had to go to the room, my Lula room, and that was all the way in the back of the house. So I had to bring all of that to the front of the house, go up the stairs, and then pack it all in my Subaru Legacy. What was I thinking? Hours of operation. I planned to work 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. with a break to put my son to bed, and then work again from 9 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. And this was all while I was working full time. So I was working from 8 to 5 every day, Monday through Friday. One of the things I wrote down was I was going to take advantage of company-wide training. There was no training that was beneficial to actually running a business, like I had mentioned. Like nothing in their training was like, how to set up a business entity. What is a business entity? How to plan for taxes, how to pay your taxes. Like none of that was actually in the training. And that is what needs to be taught with these MLMs, because that's where everybody is getting hurt. Strategy and implementation, work, work, work. But I wanted the freedom to be home with my son. I had a training called Staying Out of Facebook Jail. That should be a large red flag. Apparently, I saw the red flags and thought maybe it's a carnival. Okay, so after I somehow got approved for 2 new credit cards and saved up the rest of the money in the bank account, convinced my husband that it was going to work out from what I can dig up, because again, I got rid of so much because I just didn't even want to see it. From February to May, I spent $11,060.40 in clothes to stock my shop. And I know that I had continued to buy until the end of June, I believe, is when I kind of was like, I don't know, things are happening. Like people are getting stinky leggings, and some of the stuff that I had gotten was wet, and it was just, I don't know if I should buy anymore. Like, what's happening with this company? I did end up making a profit. I don't know what that profit was. I did pay off the credit cards and restore our money in the bank account, but I was not sleeping. The only way that I was going to make this work was if I got home from work and started working on LuLaRoe and going live and doing sales and printing labels and going to the post office and shipping. Like we lived a half an hour from the post office alone. So like for me to even do that, I'd have to plan for a minimum of an hour out of my day to just get to the post office and come home. That was so unrealistic for me to think that was feasible. I remember when I had my launch, I was not prepared. So I had gotten all of my boxes. There was, I want to say 7 or 8 boxes of clothes to go through, and I had to get them all out. And when you did live sales, everything had a number. So you would be like, oh, this is number 199. If you want to just say sold 199, first person to claim it gets it, and you'll get an invoice. So I had to unpack all of the clothes and get them on hangers and put the number cards on the hangers. And that took me all night. And while I was unpacking, I was like, let me go live with one box to see if I can make any money. Of course, people were buying things because at that time, there were the people who were such fanatics about getting their hands on certain things. So they would sit there and just watch whatever you were doing because they didn't want to miss a thing. So I did end up selling a few things that night. The next night was my actual live launch party, but I hadn't slept the night before because I was getting everything unpacked, and then I had to go to work that morning. Then I came home and did the live. I ended up selling a ton of stuff. So I was on such a high that I just stayed up and packed orders and printed shipping labels and did all of those things. And then I went to work the next day with hardly any sleep. And this cycle just continued for weeks and weeks. I think I very quickly burnt myself out, which is probably the reason I only lasted a few months. I did end up officially announcing that I was going out of business in the beginning of September. The last straw for me was the 2017 Americana collection, or I forget what they call it, the capsule. It was one of the only capsules that I was able to get while I was in still. I did get some Mommy and Me, but they didn't even sell because they were so horrible. They were just hideous. And so I ordered the Americana. Everything before that point was shipping out within a day or two. So I had sent an email at the 6-day mark because my upline had said, like,
Don't complain in the group. You have to send them an email.
I'm like, all right, I don't want to get in trouble. So I sent an email. I said, hey, I ordered my Americana. My customers are getting mad. They're waiting for this Americana to come in. All these other consultants are getting their stuff. Where's my box? And they basically just said, we're so sorry. You should be getting it soon. Please check back with us if you don't get it within a day or two. I'm like, okay, whatever. So I ended up getting it, and I got all of the crap prints, and I was so frustrated. I had also just found out I was pregnant with our second son. So I was just so tired. I wasn't feeling well. These people were excited to come to my live sale to see what they can get from the Americana collection. I think everybody was as disappointed as me. And when I was on my live, they could see it in my face. Like I was not happy. I was just like,
Here's this. If you want to claim it, blah, blah, blah.
like it was so bad. So I remember sitting on the floor after I did that live and just being like, I don't think that I want to do this anymore. It was one of those gut feelings like shit's hitting the fan. It's time to go. This is not going to work. This is not our ticket to our house. I gave it a little while. I think maybe 2 months. I was putting on a front like I was doing all of these different sales. I was trying to continue to make a little bit of a profit at least so that it wasn't a total waste. This was also the point where people were already leaving and they were having trouble getting their refunds. So I was like, I don't want to go that route. So let me see if I can sell it off first. So I started with a big D-stash sale and that lasted for about a month. I want to say that the discount started at 25%. From there, we got into back to school. So I was like, all right, cool, back to school sale. And I think I went up to like 35% at that point. And then in the beginning of September, I was like, all right, this is it. I don't care if they cancel my account. I'm done. So I did a going out of business sale. I started at 50% off. I ended up doing 75% off. Almost everything sold. Whatever didn't sell, I ended up selling on Mercari and Poshmark and things like that. And I ended up getting rid of everything except for maybe a pile of 10 kids items. So I got really, really lucky. So when I was digging through my old email today, I found out that I was actually terminated. And I had no idea. They didn't send any kind of actual mail or anything like that. The only thing that happened was they sent an email. The email said that they received a complaint that I had posted on a buy sell trade Facebook page. And at that time, when everything was hitting the fan, a lot of people were leaving and we were all posting on these buy sell trade pages like, hey, we're going out of business. Come check out this link. And that's exactly what I did. In September, they sent me this big, long crap email about how advertising on the buy sell trade pages was prohibited by their policies because my prices were below the minimum advertised pricing. I was going against all of the policies. Again, this is showing that it's not your business. You have to sell it for a certain amount. I purchased all of this stuff. Why should I have to sell it for a certain amount? Plus, it smells, it's wet, and it's crap. So they sent me this garbage email with the screenshot of what I posted in the buy sell trade group. And then a couple minutes later, they sent me another email and said that they received information that I was looking to cancel my business. My business. This isn't my business, okay? And so they told me I had to write a letter for cancellation and blah, blah, blah. I was like, no, I don't have time for that. So they sent the same screenshot with this email. This was their notice of me wanting to cancel my account, apparently. So I never responded because, again, I was not in that email anymore. It was like PTSD. I'm like, no, I'm done. I don't need to be in there. I don't need to see what's going on. So I found that today. And then months later, it was April of 2018. They were reaching out as a courtesy to let me know that my retailer agreement was being terminated. 7 months later. Apparently, I don't care, dude. I essentially was terminated for posting a going out of business sale. What did they want me to do? Like submit these return forms and be one of the people? Like, I got so lucky. I think that if I even waited a month longer, nobody would have bought what I was selling off. I feel for all of those women that have had to file for bankruptcy, had to get multiple jobs to make up for what they lost with LuLaRoe. And I'm really curious to see how much longer they're even going to last. I haven't really done any digging since the LuLaRich documentary came out, so I don't know what's going on there. But I can say that, to reiterate, that almost everything on the LuLaRich documentary can confirm is accurate. The clothes stunk. I had the Lula room, which ended up being our second son's room once I sold everything off and cleaned it and everything. That room smelled so bad. I was mortified to bring those clothes anywhere. I was like, well, I'm clean. Well, why do these clothes stink? Like, there's nothing that can be making them stink. Come to find out, everybody was having the same issue. So I didn't feel so bad after all. The leggings that I was receiving at the end were wet and I had to return multiple pairs of leggings. Also had items missing from a few of my orders. This never got resolved. They said that they were going to send it to me when they were back in stock. I never received them. And when I reached out to see if I could get a refund, I never got a response. So I was just like, whatever. It was maybe $100 worth of things that I paid for and never received. And in hindsight, with everything that was going on and all of the women that were not getting their 5 and 6 figure refunds, I was like, I can deal with that. Okay. If that's the worst of what's come of it, I can deal with that. So some of the other things that went on behind the scenes as I was scrolling through my posts, I, first of all, exploited my son in this business just as I did in the Scentsy business. He loved to have ice cream every single night. He always like loaded it up with sprinkles. He wanted tons of sprinkles. So I ended up naming my Lula shop Sprinkled in Lula, and our live sales were called Sprinkles Live. I would make him get his ice cream before I went on live and put the sprinkles in, and he would come in and show everybody. I remember there was one night that he wouldn't do it, and I actually got upset with him. I feel horrible for that. He's just trying to enjoy his ice cream with his sprinkles, and I'm like, it calmed down. It's not that serious. Something that also happens inside of LuLaRoe, just like it did with any other MLM, was the love bombing. As soon as I onboarded, my upline's upline sent me a huge personalized Yeti cup, and I thought it was the greatest thing since sliced bread. Even though I already had one, they were still getting their bonuses the way that they used to, and they have since changed it. Whenever their downline made a purchase, they would get a commission off of that. They no longer do that anymore. So from what I purchased, like the $15,000 that I spent within my first 4 months of being in business, more than paid for that Yeti cup. Oh, and then when we would get like crap pieces that were so ugly, like the mommy and me's, we were persuaded to kind of like give them away. So like if you've seen anybody talk about how she used to talk about how you should carry around leggings and just give them away. That's why they're so cheap. Whenever you got ugly pieces, you were encouraged to do the same thing. So with the mommy and me, I posted and I said,
if you've never tried LuLaRoe, I'd love to gift you with some LuLaRoe for you and your little one to match.
It was so cringy, and people actually responded, and I sent out the free stuff because it was so ugly. I wasn't going to sell it, so I wasn't worried about losing the money. Other thing that you were encouraged to do when you had ugly pieces was do an outfit sale and pair it with things that are like the unicorns, which is pieces that people were looking high and low for, but they couldn't find. So I would do that a lot. I never really had a whole lot of success with that because people didn't want to pay like $200 for an outfit that's not affordable for the quality of clothing that they were getting. And so that just was never really successful for me. This last post was about 4 months before I decided it was donezo. I just went on and said how my husband has been so supportive, which he was, but he was also so irritated because all I did was work. Like I'd go to work, my regular normal job, and then come home and do LuLaRoe for hours until I'd go to bed. That would probably be around 2 o'clock in the morning. And then I'd be up at 4 o'clock the next day to do it all over again. I claimed that I became a much happier person because I saw the potential this company has given me. There's finally a light at the end of the long tunnel of debt. That was false. And then I thought that I was going to go full time in this LuLaRoe business. I'm so grateful that I didn't. That would have been the worst thing that could have happened. After I left, I just, like I said, abandoned everything. I didn't think about taxes, but obviously LuLaRoe reports everything because they have to. That was one of maybe the 2 things they do legally. I got a $10,000 tax bill on New Year's Eve of 2018. So that just goes to show that you have no clue what you're doing if nobody teaches you about the tax piece of it. I really, really believe that all MLMs, regardless of if they stay in business or not for the foreseeable future, they need to start offering legit business trainings, like how to handle taxes, what you should be putting away each month, how to file them. I had no idea. And luckily, because I had a ton ton of receipts to go along with this tax bill. I was able to go and see a CPA the same week that I got the bill. She was super helpful. She took all of the receipts that I had. Like, I had gas receipts somehow filed away in my desk. She did everything, and we ended up paying like $200 in taxes. And that is way more doable than the $10,000. At that point, we were finally like getting on our feet, and it was like, finally, we're going in the right direction. We're going to get into a house one day. So luckily we got that straightened out. After I left LuLaRoe is actually when I went back to Scentsy for the second time, because it just felt safe. It felt like a good fallback, and I was familiar with it. I didn't last very long, maybe a month or two, and then that was it. And since all that happened in 2019, I started my own business. So I do have my own LLC that's growing into an agency, and now I run a legitimate business and I pay my taxes, and I know how that all works because I took trainings on how to do that, and I kind of learned from my mistakes, at least. So that was one good thing that came out of it. Like, I don't ever want a bill like that to come in the mail from the IRS as a surprise on New Year's Eve again in my life. That was awful. So all that to say, if you're ever thinking of joining an MLM, whether it's LuLaRoe, Scentsy, Monet, any of these MLMs, please don't start your own business. You can do it. If you want to hear my Scentsy story, I will link it, and I will see you in the next video, probably about teal, because that's a lot easier to talk about than this stuff.